Good afternoon everyone and welcome to TDOR, the Trans Day of Remembrance. On behalf of National Museums Liverpool and Homotopia, we work in partnership together on a few projects, particularly this event today. I'm really pleased to be able to welcome you to the Museum of Liverpool. I'm Janet Dugdale and I'm the director here. And for me, it's so important that we're all here today. We've all braved the weather to take part in the third time we've commemorated Trans Day of Remembrance. And we decided this year to overlook the River Mersey, and hopefully the idea of water, live contemplation will help us all really think, remember and memorialise those who are no longer with us. We live in times that have become, I think, a lot more sensitive than ever, and we're hopefully all more sensitive to hatred and violence. The Day of Remembrance here gives allies and other people a chance to step forward and think about those who've died because of anti-trans violence, to commemorate, to remember, to memorialise. Over the next 20 or 30 minutes or so, we will hear from Penny about the meaning of the day. We will hear from Bev Eyre, the Director of Development at Homotopia. We will also hear from Gary Everett, the Director of Homotopia. We're then going to lay wreaths, and we're delighted to have our other partners here, Merseyside Police, and also the museum, who will lay wreaths here as we look out of the window. Then across the whole museum there will be a 1 minute silence, and at the end of that I'm pleased that Gerry Potter has agreed to read a poem. After that, if you'd like to, I've reserved some tables downstairs in our cafe, so if you'd like a cup of tea at the appropriate moment, do join me downstairs. So I'd like to hand over to Penny.
We're here to again commemorate the people who died. And the figures I've got some figures here, and they keep changing, but the ones I've got here is 271. These are the known people who died. These are the ones that are recorded. 271 over the world. And last year there was 226, so it's getting worse. It's getting worse. And the way they die is just terrible. Stoned to death. People are stoned to death in this age for being who they are. They're the lucky, then there's the lucky ones who get shot because it's quick. Others are hanged or even killed by their own parents. Can you imagine that? Getting killed by your parents because of who you are? And 37 of these people were 21 years old or younger. So only young kids killed by their parents because they're trans. The worst country of all is Brazil. 118 recorded. Now, you might think, oh, Brazil's a terrible place, but in some ways it's a good place because they actually record trans deaths. Mexico 37, USA 27, and that's increasing considerably in the USA. The so-called civilized USA killed 27 people because they were trans. Other countries recorded were UK, Canada, France, Australia, Spain, but there were only ones. So we are here today, and all I can say to anything is, if you are suffering transphobia, please report it. There's different ways of reporting it. We've got our police officers here, we've got Stop Hate UK, we've got third-party reporting centres, including this place. Please report. It could be something minor, but it gets out of hand. I suffered from hate crime quite a long time ago, really badly, and I reported. I didn't get much help, but then that was 15 years ago, and it's moved on and on. So please report it. And also we must remember other people. And poignant what happened in the news this morning, or just last night, about the poor girl who we assume committed suicide in prison. But that's just one of many, one of thousands, probably tens of thousands of trans people over the world, all over the world who have committed suicide. I had 3 attempts. I know how to do it now, but hopefully I don't have to do it. But I had 3 attempts trying to commit suicide. I ended up in hospital a couple of times. But now with the internet, it's a lot easier. So all I can say is, let's remember them. Thank you.
This is the third year that we've been here to commemorate Trans Day of Remembrance, and it started because of the exhibition that we had downstairs, which was on the life of April, but also we covered the lives of other trans people and gender diverse people throughout the country by taking oral histories. When we first started the project, April told us about the significance of this view. It's where she used to stand and look for her dad, who was coming back from sea, so she'd wait for the ship to come in. And she said if she never sees another view in her life, she wants to be able to see this view. It's also where April jumped into the water and tried to commit suicide when she was 19. And the Echo reported it as youth saved by long hair. Apparently a man that was trying to ask his fiancée to marry him saw what she'd done and jumped in and saved her. And April's life is one of true resilience and hope and positivity, despite the fact that she's gone through a lot of challenges in her life. And she wanted me to tell you how sorry she was that she couldn't be here today. She wanted to, she intended to come up, but she's sadly a little unwell today and couldn't make it. But she wanted me to send you her best wishes. Part of the reason she wanted to be here is we're very proud to say that after 930,000 people coming to see the exhibition, we're going to leave a legacy here within the Museum of Liverpool of the exhibition and also of April's life. And this amazing photograph by Tim Walker is going to be part of a small permanent exhibition, small display, which commemorates April's life and what she went through. And Gary's going to talk a little bit more now about the amazing year it's been for April, because it's not just about the exhibition. She's had a fantastic year this year as well.
Thanks, Bev. April has sent me quite a longer message, which I don't think Bev knew because we haven't spoken this morning. But, and I'm supposed to be at work with health issues, so I've come out of my bed to try and do what I need to do. But April said this morning that she wishes everybody the best of luck and sends her love to everyone. She is thrilled that the photograph is entering the museum's permanent collection, and it tops off a wonderful year. She said she's sad she can't be here, but in Liverpool she's met the loveliest of people, and at the museum especially, she wants to extend her thanks to all of the people, including Janet and all of her team. She hopes that the museum continues to be a success and stresses how much this place is an important asset to the city. Thank you, April Ashley. There's a lot we could say today, and I sort of sometimes think about being a gay man in the 80s and growing up in Liverpool and how tough it was. But I think the trans community all over the world are sort of where gay, lesbian, bisexual people were in the 60s and 70s, in that where they're fighting the sort of big battles that we've sort of already, I think, won. Health, education, the armed forces. There's so many areas of society where trans people face so much hate and fear and discrimination, and it is shocking and appalling. Even yesterday there was a trans woman who committed suicide in a male prison. And that story is one of many, because many trans people are put into the wrong prison, and that's something that me and Bev and Lou have learned along the way, how appalling those hidden stories are, and then they're not getting any better. So right across society, government departments, there's a lot going on that's wrong. One thing that's important about trans history is the big fight that people have appropriated in terms of gay history is that a lot of people think gay white men fought Stonewall. Well, actually, it wasn't. It was trans women of colour who fought the battle on the front of those barricades. So it's something I wanted to remind ourselves that gay men, normally white gay men, and I'm one of those, I think, we get it wrong and we appropriate people's histories, and that's shocking and it's shameful. So let's put that fact straight, that it was a lot of trans people out there fighting for the gay cause, as it was at that time, in '69. I'd like to thank you all for coming today. It's been a very special 18 months for April. She's been given the freedom of the city on her birthday when she was 80. We made a special day of it, and we had a party in the hotel, the hotel. She was given the Icon Award at History magazine, and as Bev said, the exhibition attracted 930,000 visitors. It's a really stormy day, but I think there's a lot of things we have to fight for. And I think gay, lesbian, bisexual people need to keep shoulder to shoulder with trans people, even though we're not trans, and we shouldn't be associated in the same way because we're not about our gender or about our sexuality. It gets confusing for some people, but we always make that distinction. It's important we remind ourselves. But all of us have a lot to offer the trans community in terms of our history, in terms of our experience, and I think this exhibition has been remarkable in what it's done for the museum, for Homotopia, but for the city, and it's proved to be something which is going to be built on, and we hope will go to the National Archives, which is still being talked about, but it's a possibility.
I'm proud to be here today on behalf of Merseyside Police, just to remember and visibly show our support to all victims of trans crime.
I'm proud to be here today to share and lay this wreath on behalf of the Museum of Liverpool, National Museum of Liverpool.
I'm proud to lay this wreath on behalf of the trans community of Liverpool and Merseyside, for all the people who are lost with us.
Kind of say a couple of things. I'm Gerry Potter, by the way, we'll do a poem in a minute. I kind of want to remember probably one of the few historically able trans communities ever in the world to be trans when they could be at a time, certainly at night. I want to remember the theatrical trans communities that went back, right, but that been going back for decades and decades and decades. So the musicals, right, maybe even further back then, right through to our sort of, I know drag isn't strictly trans, but some drag would have been trans, and they would have been able to, at some point, present themselves in a way to some people in a particular fabulous way that was maybe more their identity than their daytime identity. So I kind of want to remember them, because I think without those theatricals, we wouldn't have the community that we have today. I don't think without that really ballsy theatrical sense of just, you know, being alive on stage, we wouldn't be here now. And saying that, because I used to have a drag persona, or a trans persona called Chloe Poems, and Chloe Poems was a gay socialist transvestite poet. And I lived for about 20 years. She had a different voice, and I lived for 20 years as Chloe Poems. When I say lived, it wasn't just people, it wasn't just being on stage. I did a lot more than that, and I think a lot of people who do trans or drag do. So, for example, I marched as Chloe Poems. I protested. I got arrested as Chloe Poems a couple of times, more than once. Oops. Well, you were very nice to me. And I had sex as Chloe Poems. And I used to live, I live in Manchester, and I used to go to parties and raves and things, and I'd walk home to Merseyside as Chloe Poems. So Chloe lived very definitely outside of me, and Chloe was a very militant martinet, shall we say, and she used to do poems that were of the time and of the people. And this is a Chloe Poems poem, so I'm doing a cover version of one of my own poems. Hey, can't say fairer than that. And it comes from Chloe's anger. It's not necessarily a poem about being trans, but it comes from Chloe's anger about how trans people were treated within the LGBT banner of trans. In so much as she thought that, because this is when I was like sort of, really being her, that, and this was 15, 20 years ago, that in that LGBT hierarchy, trans was really way down then. Really, so in fact it was almost invisible within the LGBT community, in the LGBT banner. And like you said before, Gary, it was mostly white gay men who you saw and had to deal with, and then some lesbians, and trans was right down at the bottom. You hardly saw trans in any positions of vocal power or whatever. So Chloe was royally pissed off by this. So she got kind of thinking, what is this gay thing, she thought. So this is a cover version. If I'll try and do it without the paper, let's see. And it's Chloe, me doing a Chloe Poems cover, and she's a little bit angry at the way everyone except white gay men are treated. This is called What Is This Thing Called Gay? What is this thing called gay? I thought it was about life, love and passion, that it was way more original than the latest high street fashion, that it was more than a business proposition. I thought it lived in glorious opposition to some of the hideous wrongs of our society, that gay meant colour of more than the rainbow variety. That experience was our college, life our university. I thought this thing called gay meant we were warriors of diversity, banners flying high, weapons in hand, marching, mincing to the promised land. That it was far more important than the newest celebrity in vogue. Call me old-fashioned, but I think this thing called gay means so much more than just Kylie Minogue. So much more than wanting more. So, what is this thing called gay, and who is it for? Well, this is for the rent boys, disadvantaged and the poor. This is for the people our magazines ignore. This is for the volunteers and the mobile phoneless. This is for the streets and the gays who are homeless. This is for the queers who first answered the clarion call, those magnificent men who were drag queens, breaking rules and breaking nails by throwing bricks at Stonewall. This is for their sparkle. This is for their spangle. This is for those who wore the pink triangle. This is for the ladies, transgendered and the gents, and those sassy, saucy sisters of perpetual indulgence. This is for the slogan, no surrender, for every diesel, dyke and lipstick lesbian avenger. This is for the complex, the confident and banal, and for all those wonderful times cruising Manchester's canal. This is for the bitter. This is for the sweet. This is for all of you who love an anal treat. This is for the people who survived their abusers. This is for the sex workers and the wheelchair users. For families, friends, partners who've watched their loved ones die. For the lowest of the low, the highest of the high. This is for those of us who live with this disease. This is for anger. This is for peace. This isn't for Judy Garland, Shirley Bassey or Madonna. This is for unity, integrity and honour, nor is it for diamonds or jewels in any quantity. This is for the treasure that is true equality, for individuality and its increasing rarity. This is for Club Lash and its liberating perversity. This is for the fat. This is for the skinny. This is for the screaming queen and the moaning Minnie. This is for the winners, but more for the losers, and for all my friends that built poppers and boozers. Rave on, queer Chester. This is for movement. This is for stillness. This is for sanity and mental illness. This is for the families who have never pretended. This is for the forgiving and the offended. This is for coming through the violence and hate. This is for the end of Clause 28. This is for the isolated. This is for the crowd. And this is Gerry Potter, who used to be Chloe Poems, and why we're out and proud. Thank you very much.